Indonesia memiliki sumber daya sawit melimpah, yang saat ini telah menjadi penopang ekonomi penting sebagai komoditas primer. Produksi CPO dan PKO Indonesia tahun 2020 mencapai 51,59 juta ton, dengan nilai ekspor sebesar 22,97 miliar US dollar. Sumber daya sawit ini kemudian diolah menjadi minyak sawit. Minyak sawit memiliki fraksi padat dan cair yang saat ini dipisahkan dalam industri refinery fraksinasi. Fraksi padat yaitu stearin berupa lemak padat yang berpotensi sebagai bahan baku untuk produk pengganti parafin. Parafin merupakan komponen dasar yang diperoleh dari minyak bumi. Penggunaan parafin dalam berbagai sektor industri masih diperoleh secara impor dari beberapa negara, dengan asal impor terbesar yaitu Cina sekitar 50%. Kenyataan ini merupakan potensi pasar yang besar bagi produsen maupun penjual parafin substitut untuk penyerapan produknya. Menjawab permasalahan tersebut, BRIN mengembangkan malam batik sawit yang merupakan produk parafin hasil sintesis dari turunan minyak sawit sebagai pengganti parafin minyak bumi. Hasil pengujian menunjukkan, malam batik sawit mampu menjadi perintang warna yang bagus. Tapak canting menghasilkan garis flowong yang putih bersih, tidak terdapat rembesan warna yang masuk. Tahan terhadap larutan alkali dan asam yang digunakan dalam pewarnaan, serta hasil pelodoran malam lilin mudah terlepas. Untuk mengenalkan malam batik sawit, Badan Pengelola Dana Perkebunan Kelapa Sawit bersama BRIN mengadakan sosialisasi dan workshop kepada para perajin atau UKM batik di sentra-sentra batik di Indonesia, antara lain Surabaya, Yogyakarta, Semarang, Cirebon, dan Solo. Diharapkan dari sosialisasi dan workshop ini mampu menarik perhatian pengrajin UKM batik untuk beralih menggunakan malam batik sawit, dan penggunaan malam batik sawit dapat mendukung keberlangsungan batik sebagai warisan budaya Indonesia yang telah ditetapkan oleh UNESCO.
Berdasarkan pengalaman kami, penggunaan malam berbasis sawit ini sudah bisa digunakan sebagai perintang warna. Dalam prakteknya, untuk pembuatan batik tulis masih perlu ada perbaikan. Sedangkan untuk penggunaan dalam batik cap itu sudah bagus.
Sabang sama malam berbasis sawit ini sudah bagus untuk proses batik cap.
Jadi tidak ada kendala sama sekali karena saya memakai bahan warna dari kulit akar mangrove, jadi saya lebih cenderung untuk memakai malam sawit. Jadi semuanya organik, produk Indonesia.
Transformasi perubahan BRIN sebagai satu-satunya lembaga riset milik pemerintah terus berjalan dengan menerapkan sistem dan budaya kerja baru bagi para periset. Riset dinilai bagus bila riset dilakukan dengan benar dan berhasil bila bisa dimanfaatkan. Salah satu buktinya adalah inovasi malam batik sawit. UNESCO pada tanggal 2 Oktober 2009 menetapkan batik sebagai warisan kemanusiaan untuk budaya lisan dan non-bendawi. Ini merupakan pengakuan penting bagi batik Indonesia dan menunjukkan betapa pentingnya batik dalam budaya dan kebudayaan kita di Indonesia. Sementara sawit merupakan komoditas pertanian dan perkebunan yang menjadi sumber daya ekonomi terpenting bagi bangsa Indonesia yang harus terus dikembangkan pemanfaatannya melalui riset dan inovasi sehingga memiliki nilai tambah yang tinggi. Produk yang dikembangkan dari lemak sawit dapat digunakan sebagai substitusi sebagian parafin dan microwax fraksi minyak bumi yang merupakan bahan penting dalam formulasi lilin malam batik. Substitusi malam batik sawit bermanfaat untuk mengurangi ketergantungan industri batik dari bahan yang tidak terbarukan. Aplikasi malam batik sawit dalam pembatikan memiliki daya tembus yang baik, lentur, dapat membentuk garis ngawat, dan lancar pada aliran canting bagian dan juga mudah dilorot. BRIN mendukung inovasi seperti industri batik yang berjumlah sekitar 55.000 pengrajin batik di seluruh Indonesia yang hampir semuanya UMKM maupun industri sawit. Maju terus periset BRIN serta riset dan inovasi di Indonesia. Rahasia perubahan adalah memfokuskan semua energi kita bukan untuk melawan yang lama, tetapi untuk membangun yang baru. Terima kasih.
Nanti Tian. Tian,
Yes.
itu yang di M.Si.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The webinar is
Itu
going
hari yang Tian ada kopi yang
to all participants. Please use your virtual background with attendance form from the link provided by the committee in the chat feature.
Apa itu ini?
The session. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Semua yang ada.
Good
Kalau
afternoon.
Papa mau hapus dah hapus
It is a great pleasure to welcome you to this webinar held by Research Organization for Agriculture and Food, National Research and Innovation Agency BRIN, Friday, August 4, 2023. Today, we are going to a very interesting topic about integrated platform to promote staple food diversification. This session is organized to share knowledge of how to develop an integrated platform to promote staple food diversification for food security in the country. In this occasion, we are honored to welcome Puji Lestari, SP, M.Si, Ph.D., Chairman of Research Organization for Agriculture and Food BRIN, Mulyana Hadi Pernata, STP, MSc, Ph.D., Head of Research Center for Agroindustri BRIN, Dr. Yudhistira Nugraha, SP, MP, Head of Research Center for Food Crops BRIN, Profesor Dr. Insinyur Derajat Martianto, M.Si, Professor at Department of Community Nutrition, Faculty of Human Ecology, IPB University, Dr. Sastia Prama Putri, Associate Professor at Osaka University, Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, please raise for the national anthem of the Republic of Indonesia. Please be seated. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, next is a prayer will be delivered by Agus Hadiarto, SPM ABM.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to lead all of you to pray to Allah. Let us bow our head for a moment, pray to God, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, so that our ROAFERIAN with the same integrated platform to promote stable food diversification can be precious to all of us. I will lead This prayer based on the teaching of Islam and those who are not Muslim. You are placed to pray according to each of your beliefs. Please look down and raise your hands. And begin by saying istighfar, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Hamdan syakirin. Hamdan na'im. Hamdan yuafi ni'amahu wa yukafi mazid. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi jalal wa sultan. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma inna nas'aluka salamatan fid din wa afiyatan fil jasad wa ziyadatan fil ilmi wa barakatan fil rizqi wa taubatan qabla al-maut wa rahmatan innal maut wa maghfiratan ba'da al-maut. Allahumma inna hawin ala fi sakaratil maut wa najatan lana wa afwan laysa. Rabbana la tuzigh qulubana ba'da idh hadaytana wa hab lana min rahmatin innaka antal wahhab. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, please be to God, the Lord of the worlds, peace and blessing be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu and his companions and for those who follow his example till the judgment day. Allah, Ya Ghaffar, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. Today we gather here to participate in the ROAFERIAN with the theme Integrated Platform to Promote Stable Food Diversification. Make this meeting a useful science assembly, a medium for sharing beneficial ideas, knowledge, and experiences of scholars, researchers, and students of various disciplines. Oh, Ya Allah, may the conference benefit our lives, broaden our knowledge, shine our ideas, and lead us to be successful, productive persons, which will boost our nation's dignity. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Razzaq, Ya Ghani, Ya Hamid, Ya Allah, guide and bless our hearts and our minds with the light of your guidance. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities. Help us to speak our minds clearly. Help us to listen to each other, respect to each other, love each other so that we are included to be blessed person. Oh, Ya Allah, protect us from unintended temptation. Show us the right path and give us knowledge and strength to perform good things equally. Show us and make the bad things clear and give us knowledge and strength to avoid them. Ya Hayy Ya Qayyum, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Allah, Ya Allah, you are the one who can fulfill our dua. Wa sallallahu sayyidina Muhammadin nabiyil ummi wa barakatuh. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Agus. Ladies and gentlemen, next is a welcome remark from Chairman of Research Organization for Agriculture and Food BRIN to Mrs. Puji Lestari, SPM, M.Si, Ph.D. Time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to warmly welcome to the Director of this Center for Food Crops, the Head of the Center for Appropriate Technology, the Head of the Center for Agri-Industry. So you are the moderator on this webinar. And also it is a glorious moment to extend my warm wishes on behalf of ROAF. I want to convey my heartfelt gratitude to distinguished speakers from Osaka University, Japan, Dr. Sastia, Prama, Putri. Thank you for joining us again and see you offline. We are very happy to have you here. And Professor Derajat Martianto from IPB. I hope you are joining this webinar. or maybe still on the way. And the third speaker is Yudhistira Nugraha, the head of the Center for Food Crops, ROAF. Thank you. And my gratitude is also addressed to scientists from BRIN who have made this first ROAFERIAN of integrated platform to promote staple food diversification. Ladies and gentlemen, global issues such as climate change, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the Russia-Ukraine conflict have taken the spotlight. This has led the intensive pressure on socioeconomics, healthcare, and food system in a short time. So confronting us are direct consequence of this global crisis on the food security, throwing food security issues on the limelight. And the increasing concern about food security in food insecure regions in the world shows the inability of a sectoral approach in dealing with agricultural problem. Potential food resources can be utilized through food diversification as a part of the government's effort to minimize socioeconomic inequality with sustainable food security development program. Food security is supported by sustainable food diversification will be able to contribute in reducing poverty and improving community welfare through development in agriculture and food. And in Indonesia, to reduce rice consumption, some cereal crops, sagu, other low glycemic index, including rice as a staple food, that are abundant in Indonesia could be explored for potential resources of food diversification. As we all know that local plant genetic resources have significant potential in ensuring food security at both local and global level. So they play a crucial role in sustainable agriculture and food production for several reasons. Local plant genetic resources are well adapted to a specific environmental condition and offer a rich source of genetic diversity. So these resources provide the foundation for enhancing agricultural sustainability, improving nutrition, preserving cultural heritage, and generating economic opportunities at the local level. Ladies and gentlemen, advanced technology, especially metabolomics, you have expert on this, and other omics approaches can support food diversification by enabling a deeper understanding on the nutritional content, the active compound, safety, and quality of different food sources. This information can guide effort to promote the consumption of a diverse range of food, leading to improve nutrition, health, and sustainability. Thus, an integrated platform to promote staple food diversification refers to a comprehensive approach or system designed to encourage and support the cultivation, production, distribution, and consumption of a wide variety of staple food is necessary. Ladies and gentlemen, Research Organization for Agriculture and Food, ROAF, BRIN, is highly concerned about staple food diversification to support food security in the country. Therefore, collaboration research to boost the achievement of goal on this research and innovation are in the discussion by BRIN and Osaka University, Japan. Together with universities, in this case, RTP University and Universitas of Indonesia, ministries, and other organizations in Indonesia, this topic would be proposed for joint research among these parties. So today's webinar could be beneficial to share knowledge on how to develop an integrated platform to promote staple food diversification for food security. Second, to discuss some of main concepts of the joint research project among parties and strengthen networking and initiate collaboration and cooperation research. I hope you have a fruitful discussion and how we can sustain the collaboration among these parties. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mrs. Puji, for the speech. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to start our discussion for today, which will be led by Mulyana Hadipernata, STP M.Si, Ph.D., Head of Research Center for Agro-Industry BRIN. Before that, I will read his CV first. Mulyana Hadipernata, STP M.Si, Ph.D., Head of Research Center for Agro-Industry BRIN, He got bachelor degrees in IPB University, master degree in Gajah Mada University, Ph.D. on in track, researcher of Indonesian Center for Agricultural Post-Harvest Research and Development in 1998 until 2022, head of Research Center for Agro-Industry Research Organization for Food and Agriculture, National Research and Innovation Agency BRIN, 2022 until now. He produces a lot of publication in post-harvest technology and various commodities such as luwak coffee, corn, and rice. To Mr. Mulyana, time is yours.
Yes. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, everyone. Okay, you okay? Still sleepy? No? Okay. Okay, good afternoon for all seminar participants here, especially for Ibu Puji. Ibu Puji, head of research organization for agriculture and food, and also Prof. Sastia from Osaka University, and of course head of research center, Pak Ahmad, Pak Yudhistira, and maybe in Zoom meeting, Pak Satrio, Ibu Nita, and maybe here's I don't see Bapak Tripuji. Okay, today, Friday, August 4, 2023, Research Organization of Agriculture and Food, National Research and Innovation Agency organized the seminar here. The theme is Integrated Platform to Promote Staple Food Diversification. I think this topic is very important related to the global issue. You know, the pandemic COVID-19 and then Russia-Ukraine war conflict. Of course, this issue lead to intense pressure on social, economic, healthcare, and food system. We know that the various staple food, especially rice in Indonesia and other, including wheat, barley, is concerned for food security, and food security supported by sustainable food and diversification will be able to contribute to reducing poverty and improving community. Okay, maybe times for special for Ibu Sastia now is very short. So I would like to introduce Prof. Sastia, the first speaker here, and then from Osaka University, and then the second speaker is Professor Drajat Martianto, and the third speaker is Dr. Yudhistira Nugraha. Okay, for Dr. Sastia Prama, she is associate professor from Osaka University, bachelor degree from Bandung Institute of Technology, ITB 2004, and then master degree and Ph.D. from Graduate School of Engineering, Osaka University. Many career track here, research trend, and then postdoctoral researcher in Osaka University, and then lecturer in ITB, also in Osaka University. Many publication also, maybe you can read very long publication. Okay, please times for Prof. Sastia, please here. Okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Pak Dr. Mulyana untuk perkenalannya. A very good afternoon, Ibu Puji. It's an honor to be here again. Thank you very much, Ibu, for always kindly welcoming me in ORPP. It's like second home now, many times recently in the past year. And also, I would like to say hello to Dr. Yudhistira, Dr. Ahmad, and also Prof. Derajat, who are now, I think, in Zoom as well. Everyone, I would like to first introduce about my research on the application of metabolomics. I'm not sure if everyone here is very familiar or not with metabolomics, so let me bring you first to a very the very important motivation why we are here today. So I'm not sure how much you are aware of the present status about Indonesia, about metabolomics, and also how our theme about food diversification and bioresource and food and agriculture, as well as health. I don't know how much we are all aware, including myself, before I would like to launch this topic together with Yudhishthira, understand how serious situation we are right now if we don't act urgently. So the number of patients of diabetes has almost doubled since 2019 and tripled since 2011. So we are now facing a very dramatic increase in the incidence of diabetes. And in the urban territory, the prevalence of pre-diabetes can go as high as 15 to 25%. Then, what are the causes? Is due to unbalanced diets, lifestyle changes, inadequate intake of food other than rice. And rice in our country is now being a symbol of wealth and health all over Indonesia. We are now consuming rice instead of everything else. And recent research showed a very strong correlation between rice intake and incidence of diabetes. So diabetes cases increase in Indonesia, and Indonesia at the moment ranks lowest among G20 in terms of dietary diversity. So we always take pride that Indonesia is a country of mega biodiversity. We have so many different resources, but unfortunately, this is not reflected in our dietary diversity. We still consume mostly rice as a staple food. So bioresources are abundant in the country, but apart from rice, there are other staple foods we know that are available. And historically, our ancestors consumed different types of staple food, but we don't do that anymore right now. So we want to solve this kind of dilemma. So the question that I would like to ask today is, how do we minimize the gap? How do we promote staple food diversification? So what is metabolomics? Metabolomics itself is the comprehensive analysis of metabolites, which is very important intermediate or product of metabolism. And you can map metabolites in any given biological system, starting from very small microbe to all of the samples that are in human body. So here we can see that metabolite is very closely associated with phenotypic features. And this is the end product and the result of gene expression. So metabolites include sugars, amino acids, etc. And my research is on the comprehensive mapping or comprehensive analysis of these small molecules called metabolites. So here, the local staple food diversity in Indonesia, as mentioned earlier, we have diverse food diversity. I think Pak Yudhishthira later on will explain how much his research center also have already dealt with a lot of research and exploration. But later on, perhaps Professor Derajat will also mention that in our community, still eating singkong atau ubi is called inferior food perception, low sensory value. We sometimes also consider difficulty in processing, resulting in this low utilization of tubers or other staple food other than rice. So correlation with the intake of rice and the intake of local staple food, resulting in higher risk of type 2 diabetes. So what I would like to talk to you about, how this situation can correlate with, we can do the bioresource mapping, extending on what we have done so far. Indonesia have already done a great job in bioresource mapping and identifying very potential sources of food, healthy food, alternative for diabetes, but we are still facing the dilemma that the utilization is still low. So what we need to do next is to take a giant leap to transform this inferior food into superior food. And it's not easy because food is not something you can force on people. If you're sick, the doctor can make you take medicine. But it's very different with food. We cannot ask people to take food that they don't want to take. It's a part of our culture. It's a part of our free choice. So how can we transform this kind of inferior perception of these healthy food into something that is healthy, delicious, and attractive? So then if we could do that, then we could effectively campaign and promote diversity. And finally, hopefully, it will correlate with the decrease in potential pre-diabetic patients. So it will have many different kind of impact, like increased food diversity will also be good for food security and sustainability. It can also improve economic growth by local people can utilize well their local food and health promotion. So I would like to bring your attention today with a case study. Was just presented as a PhD defense of one of my students. He's also Indonesian, and he revealed meglutol. This is a very unique metabolite present in food, and especially in our beloved tempe, our traditional fermented food. So we always considered that functional foods are food that provide health benefit beyond basic nutrition through the presence of 5 physiologically active components. We also think that there's a very increasing trend towards functional food. People are tending to be more aware of taking healthy food, functional food compared to before, because it's better than taking medicine. It's perceived to have less adverse side effects. So the use of food to manage health is now gaining popularity. And one of our healthy food is tempeh. But as you may know, whenever we talk about tempeh, we always talk about isoflavones. Isoflavones in almost all of the publications about tempeh. But of course, these are very important bioactive metabolites. And also tempeh has very excellent nutritional content, like high in amino acids, low in sugar and lipids. And it has these functional content like isoflavones, bioeffective peptides, and other antioxidants. And regular tempeh consumption has been associated with improved health. So about tempeh bioactive properties, there are already several examples that map the bioactive properties in tempeh. Either it describes the overall properties or specific component only. But I would like to mention how these reports tend to be very specific bioactive metabolites without comprehensively investigating the tempeh metabolome. So what we know is just limited to what we know. Whereas the comprehensive investigation into the metabolome of tempeh would offer significant advantages by ensuring that the potential bioactive compounds are not overlooked. So here, what I would like to explain to you about my research on food metabolomics is that we could map the overall content of food, and then we could also identify previously overlooked bioactive metabolites, including in tempeh. So the objective of this study is to do the metabolome profiling and identification of bioactive metabolites. We characterize the identified metabolites and optimize the bioactive metabolites in tempeh. So first, our research group has already established probably since the very first, from 7 years ago, the first publication of tempeh metabolomics. And since then, 4 PhD students have graduated from my team about tempeh, and he's the 4th. So in his case, he uses yellow and green soybean, which is edamame and normal soybean. And germinated soybean as well as soybean tempeh are combined. And we compare them. We do the many different kinds of analysis on GCMS or LCMS to map metabolites comprehensively. And we did the data analysis to identify the effect of germination or fermentation. So this is the fermentation and germination methods, because we do germination as well, because it's one of the methods that was already found to increase bioactive metabolites in soybean. So then soybean tempeh and germinated soybean were then analyzed using metabolomics. And here are the metabolites that we can discover. This is in a single run. Our research group has already established a very nice profiling method where we could analyze many metabolites in the single run. And this is from GCMS and this is from LCMS in collaboration with IPB University. And this is an example also on the targeted analysis on the isoflavones present in tempeh. Then a total of 204 was annotated from this study in tempeh. And we would like to take deeper. Maybe these metabolites have never been reported before in tempeh. So some of the metabolites we discovered for the first time in tempeh. And it turns out these metabolites have health benefits according to PubChem Drug Bank or CBI. Then among this, we identified bioactive metabolites. Some of them are the isoflavones that we already know. They have bioactive metabolites. But we also identified, for example, hydroxyantranilic acid or meglutol, which is a hypolipidemic metabolite that has not been described in tempeh before. And it's very interesting when we take all of the metabolites into consideration and we use all of this information of the metabolites present in the sample, we could see that from soybean here, described in yellow, after tempeh fermentation, the metabolite changes so drastically. If you could see here on the right-hand side, this is originally high in soybean, and after tempeh fermentation, there's a significant increase in diethane, hydroxyantranilic acid, genistein, and meglutol, as well as GABA. After tempeh fermentation, we could see that there's a very significant change of metabolites present in soybean into something that has better functionality when it is already becoming tempeh. So sugar reduction after fermentation, amino acid, and bioactive compounds are increased after tempeh fermentation. And we could also see here, when we take a look at what are the changes that happen after germination and after tempeh fermentation, we could see that many of the important metabolites for tempeh functionality is increased. So germination increases amino acid significantly and increases several bioactive metabolites after tempeh fermentation. And also we could observe that there's a decrease in complex isoflavones to become aglycons. Then it's better to be absorbed in the body after it becomes tempeh compared to before tempeh fermentation. So these are the type of things that we could discover with metabolomics. We could analyze many different kinds of food components simultaneously. We could immediately see what kind of metabolites are affected after, for example, a particular process like fermentation or germination. We could see here what are the metabolites that increase. Here it's very interesting to see meglutol, for example, which lowers cholesterol increase only in tempeh, but not in soybean. GABA, also a very important neurotransmitter for relaxing and promoting sleep, is also increased in tempeh. And hydroxyantranilic acid, this is an antioxidant, also increased in tempeh. So beyond isoflavones, we could see here many different kinds of metabolites not previously reported in tempeh increase. And therefore, we could strengthen our claim that tempeh is a very healthy food beyond what is known right now. So this is what we would like to do with our staple food. Perhaps Dr. Yudhistira later on will explain how much we have already known about many different kinds of tubers, legumes, the food crops in Indonesia. If we could apply the same principle in many of our food crops, then we could identify many potential bioactive metabolites previously unknown to us and develop that into food that is very good for diabetic prevention. So with this, we could summarize in tempeh, in our study, we could identify 16 bioactive metabolites in tempeh previously not reported. And we also investigated the modulation of these bioactive metabolites after tempeh fermentation. And these findings can contribute to the current understanding of tempeh functionality and lay a foundation for further enhancing the bioactive properties of tempeh. So what I would like to propose is that we do this metabolomics type of study for our local food resources. And hopefully by increasing the value, increasing the image that is not an inferior food, but for example, very popular like chia seed, the people will have a different perception that is not just very local or very ndeso, but it's very, very healthy and very attractive. So increasing the image, citra, increasing the popularity and perception of public towards our local food is, I think, very important step for us to go towards improving food diversification. So with this, I would like to propose this kind of application of metabolomics to improve utilization of diverse alternative local food, to increase food diversification. At the same time, we could reduce pre-diabetic patients in Indonesia. So with that, I would like to close my talk today. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yes. Thank you very much, Prof. Sastia. It's okay. You can sit. Yes. Okay. For the second speakers, I hope Professor Derajat. Okay, already joined. Okay. Hello, Professor Derajat.
Hello, Pamoyana. How are you?
Okay, okay. Thank you. Okay. First, before we listen what Professor Derajat presented in this conference, maybe we would like to introduce who is Professor Derajat. Maybe many people we know, but maybe some people don't know. Professor Derajat, he graduated from IPB University, also master degree in IPB University, and Ph.D. program in University of the Philippines. Career track in head of Department Community Nutrition 2000 until 2005. And then Vice Dean of Graduate School 2005 and 2008, and then Director of Academic Affairs 2008 and 2018, and Vice Director Education and Student Affairs 2018 until 2023. This many publications here, same with the Prof. Sastia also. Maybe I can read by one by maybe later, because this is a short time. Okay, please Professor Derajat to present your slide. Okay, you have 15 minutes or until 20 minutes. Okay.
Oh, it's very short time. That's okay. Thank you very much, Pak Dr. Mulyana. We met in rice fortification meeting 2 months ago, I think, yeah. Dear Ibu Puji Lestari, and of course Ibu Sastia, welcome to Indonesia again, Ibu Sastia. Pak Yudhistira, and also all of the participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to apologize because I supposed to be there, join with you at BRIN office, but unfortunately I have a little bit problem with my stomach, and then I have to give my presentation through Zoom. Okay. We just hear a very important and very interesting presentation from Dr. Sastia, Professor Sastia. And I think in this next 15 minutes, hopefully, I would like to present to you about the profile of the food and nutrition security in Indonesia in general, and particularly the pattern of food consumption pattern with regard to the staple food. If we are talking about the staple food, usually we are referring for the carbohydrate sources in Indonesia, yeah. So how will we develop this staple food set of rice and wheat flour, of course, to become our really daily staple food? And I know that it will be a very big challenge, but Dr. Sastia has already mentioned that there are a big opportunity to bring this potential staple food to become a superior food in Indonesia. Okay, there are 3 topics that I will give to you. First, of course, I would like to just remind to all of us here what is the food security, food self-sufficiency, and food sovereignty is, and then the current situation of Indonesian food security, and then of course the challenges that we have to face in trying to diversify our staple food, and what are the best way I think we can bring this potential biodiversity of Indonesia to become our daily food, daily healthy and nutritious food. Okay, as it is mentioned by the WFO that well, we have to produce food because we need food, of course. But the most important thing that we have to provide food to everybody is because we have to raise the level of nutrition and standard of living. It is because of the health reason, because of the quality of life reasons, not just to eat as how to fulfill the energy requirement, but the most important thing is how we can achieve the premium healthy life to everyone. Yeah, to achieve the food security level, of course, and based on the Indonesian food law, and there are two things that we have to do. First, of course, how we can develop, how we can strengthen our food self-sufficiency. That means that most of the food that are available and consumed by all of the people in Indonesia are produced locally, domestically, and then how we can also strengthen our food through a food sovereignty process, where we have the potential and we have the right to decide what we have to plan, what we have to trade, and what we have to consume our food to achieve the food security and to achieve the healthy lifestyle for everybody and every time. Dear participants, currently the United Nations really have really put a very, very big concern on how to and on how every country have to what do you call to correct their food system process, because we feel that the food system in every country at current situation usually bring more on the negative consequences rather than the positive one, because you know that at present there are so many negative impact on the environment because of food production, because of food distribution, that using a very big energy, for example, and there are a big problem caused by the food loss and waste that create an environmental effect and economic impact as well, and also of course nutrition impact as well. So we have to correct all of that by implementing what we call as a sustainable food system, and and when we develop the sustainable food system, the resilient food system, the objective is actually how to achieve healthy diets for everyone, every time, everywhere, to achieve the better nutritional and health status to everybody. You know that as Ibu Sastia mentioned, that we are in Indonesia facing what we call as a triple burden of malnutrition. And aside of that, the cases, the prevalence of non-communicable diseases, particularly diabetic, for example, as mentioned by Ibu Sastia, is increased quite high. So how now we can try to do the best using our potential, using the local food, particularly the staple food, to fix all of this. Okay, this is just I just mentioned that we have a big problem because of not only food itself, but of course beyond food as well. But food played a very important role in determining the malnutrition problem in Indonesia, because of inequality in terms of socioeconomic access and also inequality because of we are a very, very big country, archipelagic country, and we're supposed to, it's very difficult, of course, to distribute. We have a very serious logistic problem because of so many islands, etc. And that's why we really have to put our full focus on the how to strengthen our food what they call our food security, as I mentioned before. Of course, and we have to put a special attention, particularly for the quality and safety, which is among the big problem that we have in Indonesia. You know that among 113 countries in the world, Indonesia position in the food security, in the global food security index is not that good because we just in the, number 69 or 63 last year, just in the middle of the countries. And sometimes we are talking that we are a big country. We have so many biodiversity. We are the second country who has the biodiversified with the biodiversity in the world after Brasilia, for example. But in fact, our food security level among the 113 countries is not that good. So there is a lot of problem that we have to fix, and among them are how, as Ibu Sastia already mentioned, that actually in Indonesia we have more than 72 staple food actually. Yeah? But when I ask you what kind of staple food Indonesia have, maybe you may only answer 5 to 6 staple food. And I do not so sure that you can answer more than 15 type of staple food. Although according to the reference, we have more than 70 kind of staple food. Okay, and you know that because of that, because we are very selective to consume and we only produce selected food, at present, 8 out of 100% in Indonesia is still undernourished. This is a very big problem because 8 out of 100, 8%. And of course, if we look at the statistic, we can notice that the inequality of the economic accessibility gave a very, very big influence on the food access. Based on the last 20 years of food consumption pattern in Indonesia, we noticed that there is an improvement in the quality, although we are still considered as the moderate food secure country. But the interesting thing is that we have already achieved better quality in general. For example, our vegetables and fruits intake has already increased significantly, and also animal-based food and oils and fat and animal-based food. But unfortunately, for the other staple food, particularly tubers and certain cereals, we do not have any progress at all. If you look at this figure, this is in the last 20 years, the intake or the consumption of a tuber is remain stagnant or even in general tend to decrease, while the other food tend to increase, as I mentioned before. If we look at this figure, you know that in Indonesia, we use the pola pangan harapan or desirable dietary pattern as an indicator to evaluate or to what do you call, to assess the quality of food consumption pattern. And you may see here that very clearly that the intake of tubers, particularly the carbohydrate sources, important carbohydrate sources that have a potential health benefit, as Ibu Sastia mentioned, it's very, very low. We are only 40% of the ideal reference, yeah, and that is a really big, what do you call, homework to us, to all of us. If we look at this trend of the cereal consumption, you may see that corn as another, it's supposed to be important staple food, have a very, very low contribution for the Indonesian food consumption pattern. And of course, rice and also wheat flour is become the major staple food at present, in whether it is in rural or in urban or even in rural areas. And then, but there is a unique figure here. When we look at this, the last 5 years data from Susenas, Survey Sosial Ekonomi Nasional, and the very interesting thing is that if we look at the cassava, whether it is in urban or in rural, there is a tendency that the trend of the cassava consumption is just like a parabola. Yeah, this is very unique because when the income increase, in the latest year, yeah, there is an increase of significant cassava consumption. It's very, very, very interesting. But the other food is tend to, yeah, stagnant. And then I'm trying to see what happened in Jakarta as the central capital of Indonesia. And I make a calculation based on the quintile of income in Indonesia. It's very interesting also that in Jakarta, the carbohydrate sources, particularly from rice, corn, and wheat flour, tend to increase among the middle income, but then suddenly decrease from the quintile one. Maybe probably all of the people here in Jakarta has already concerned about the healthy lifestyle. I do not know. It's supposed to be what do you call? We need a more deep analysis for that. And then the most interesting is if we look at the cassava, sweet potato, sagu, and others staple food in Jakarta, it's tend to increase with the increase of income. It is I don't know. It is quite interesting because according to economic law that this community is supposed to be inferior, but in fact that we can still expect that even in Jakarta, the trend of the consumption of this commodity is even increased in the list and the latest data of Susenas 2021. If we look at the data for Sulawesi, South Sulawesi particularly, it is also interestingly that cassava, sweet potato is increased in the last in the 2021 data based on the different economic income level or quintile level. So that's mean that there is a potential for us to increase the consumption of this kind of staple food, even in the big city like Sulawesi Selatan, particularly Makassar and Jakarta. Although there is a not so good figure here in, wait for a moment, Maluku, I think. If we are looking for the sagu consumption, we are always thinking that in Maluku, sagu consumption is big, but in fact it is just small. And the higher the income, the lower the food consumption, the sagu consumption, compared to rice and also compared to wheat flour. And if we look at the Nusa Tenggara Timur NTT, we are thinking that corn is the people commonly consume corn, but in fact, it is decrease with where the income is increased. So we cannot we can learn now that different area, different province in Indonesia that have their own specific pattern. So the question of Ibu Sastia is how we can save the local staple food, particularly tubers and certain cereals, from inferior to become superior food. You know that when we learn economic, we are already understand that the staple food, particularly the carbohydrate sources, will decrease whenever the income is increased. Yeah, at a certain level of income, it is increased, and then if the income is continuously increased, then the consumption will decrease. It is common. It is a economic law, and our homework is how to postpone the decrease, how to reject the decrease of the staple food consumption, the carbohydrate sources, to become increased, because it is of course, yeah, it is of course it is not that easy, because you know, as an inferior food, we have to do many things. Of course, health benefit is the best answer for that, but it is not the single, I think not the single reason that will guarantee us to be able to change or to save from the inferior to become a superior or normal food. You know that based on the energy, protein, and other nutrition contents, there is no significant difference between carbohydrate, non-rice, or with flour, with the local foods. Even some local food, like corn, they have a very good beta-carotene content, for example. And the energy sources is just, the energy quality is, of course, the same. But I think when we take a food, when we consume a food, it is not just a matter of nutrition. There are so many things that what do you call, make us to decide what we want to eat, what we have to eat. So this is, I just try to summarize why the tubers and sagu and others carbohydrate sources, aside of paddy and wheat, it's very difficult to be developed in Indonesia. Yeah, there are so many reasons, because of the organoleptic, because of the convenience, practicality, because of the nutrition content itself, and of course the additional benefit that has already mentioned by Ibu Sastia, yeah, about the active biocompound, because of the glycemic index, etc., etc. I think this is the positive thing that we have to expose and to promote to all of the people, particularly to the middle upper of income, because I think they are the most what do you call, the most prevalent groups of those who have diabetic, for example, and those who have a problem of non-communicable diseases. And of course, the social status is also among the best reason to describe why rice and wheat is always become the best choice rather than the staple food, local staple food, and also the price, and also the government policy. So I think this is the time for us to also conduct a very, very strong advocacy to the government to make them to support a big support policy to develop the local carbohydrate sources of food. Yeah, and I think we need a very, very comprehensive strategic upstream, downstream. We have to do in every point of the effort to make the production is available, to make the business we're running well, because with of course we have to implement GMP, and other good production practices, good quality to achieve good quality, and etc., etc. And of course, we have also to develop a social social construction, particularly through education and through research, good research, as mentioned by Ibu Sastia previously. We need health and nutrition benefit, local food research, particularly metabolomic studies, to give stronger, very strong, very strong evidence that eating the local carbohydrate sources of food is even better rather than those commodities that we have already consumed daily, particularly rice and wheat flour, for the health reason. And also, of course, we need other homework, so many homework that we have to develop, because you know that as a inferior, as a low status food, we have to make it become become very high in perception, yeah, that eating this type of food is not indicate the lower level of social status. So we have to develop the culinary approach, the industrial approach, how to make all of this potential become interesting, become have a higher status through development of technology that is appropriate. And even we have also to improve the traditional food that at present still exists to become a healthy and delicious food. And then we have also to attract this food to, particularly for the millennials, by preserving this food as what millennials want to eat, etc., etc. And of course, we in the term of practicality, we also have to develop the industry of this potential healthy food to be easily that we can get, that we can preserve, and we can eat at a very convenience. And of course, developing this food need industrial approach, because when we develop the products like, for example, with flour, it is very easy, it is very practical because it is flour based. And then we need also the same approach. And the good thing is we have already developed some of them. We have mock-up, etc., etc. So I think, I'm sorry, it is a very long presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Prof. Derajat, for your presentation. Nice presentation. Okay, last but not least, Bapak Dr. Yudhistira, please, times for you. Here's Bapak Yudhistira. Maybe you can show the slide. Okay, please, Dr. Yudhistira, the expertise in crop science, plant breeding and biotechnology, and bachelor degree in University of Jenderal Sudirman, and then master in Universitas Pajajaran, and Ph.D. in Institut Pertanian Bogor. Career track, he's in researcher of Indonesia Center for Rice Research 2002 until 2022, and then Head of Research Center for Food Crops, National Research and Innovation Agency, BRIN 2022 until now. This is the recent publication. Maybe I'm not also not read. Maybe you can read by yourself, okay? And many publication from Dr. Yudhistira. Maybe you can continue for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Pak Mulyana. Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable, our chairman from Research Organization of Agriculture and Food, Bu Puji Lestari, the Honorable invited speaker from Osaka University, Bu Sastia, and also from IPB, Pak Derajat, Professor Derajat, and the participant in this room and as well in Zoom. Ladies and gentlemen, so in the last two speakers, they said that rice is not good, and like you see in the profile background, I'm a rice scientist, so I have to talk about how to change rice consumption into the other staple food, especially in local staple food. And within 20 minutes, I will like to present to you about how the important local genetic resource as a staple food diversification, and also what we have done in regarding to the local management and utilization of local food for staple food. And also I will wrap up this presentation with recommendation and future prospect. So I think this slide is already explained by Professor Derajat. Yeah. I will wrap up again. So Indonesian is still considered that rice is dominant in the desirable dairy pattern. So in 2022, based on the survey with survey of Bapanas, the rice consumption is still higher than desirable dietary pattern, and followed by oils and coconuts, and the others it's below from the dietary desirable dietary pattern. So like Professor Derajat said, that we have to diversify our food consumption, because if we consider only consume rice, there will be rice is not the nutrient content is not so good like others crop food. So we have to diversify to make our body healthier and more benefits for our life. So yeah, like Professor Derajat said, that we less consume of tuber, bean, and nuts, and actually for livestock consumption, we have ideal consumption for fish and poultry, but for meat and milk, I think still less consumed for Indonesia. Sorry, next. Okay, so we still depend on rice as the staple food, and during 2 decades, the rice production in Indonesia is still stagnated while the population is increasing. So according to the prediction, next 2 or 3 years, Indonesia will be importing more rice. In this year, we imported 2 million tons of rice. So since there is what do you call conversion, the arable land from paddy field to other purposes for non-agricultural purposes, houses, road, and others. So I think, yeah, if we rely on the rice production, there will be more important and all that's not good for our food security. And interestingly, actually, our rice consumption is decreasing from 75 kg per capita per year to 19.3 kg per capita per year, but still it's not enough to provide the rice demand by on rice production. So like Bu Satya said, that rice also related to the diabetes incidency. So the best way to reduce rice consumption is how to change the consumption pattern from rice to other food crops. So actually, Indonesia is rich about local food crops. Different region also has different food crops, and also the local people actually has become local food for in this region. So, for example, in North Sumatra, East Java, even in West Sulawesi, they consume cassava, and traditionally also in Central Java, Yogyakarta, and Papua, they consume corn. I mean, in South Sulawesi, they consume corn and other things. That is the local food is already consumed by local people. So I think Bappenas also has program about how to make the meal package based on the availability of local resource. And Bappenas has a program like we call it Pangan Bergizi B2SA ya. Bergizi, sehat, aman, B satunya lagi apa ya? Jadi ya, Bappenas has program to diversify food of Indonesian food based on the local resource. Okay. So there's many local food that can be used as the substitution for rice, like cerealia. There are local composite maize, local rice. We consider that local rice is local food because it's different with white rice, hanjeli, and there's also legume like kopi, barbarapi, jack bean. In tubers, there is cassava, sweet potatoes, yam, and fruit, banana, breadfruit, and palm, sago. So this local food actually is more adaptable to the unfavorable environment, and also it can be cultivated with less input production like fertilizer, water, and pesticide. And importantly, this local food has good nutrition, high fiber, and also a low glycemic index. And the important thing, the local people has already become like a local wisdom to cultivate this local food. So I think, yeah, regarding to the utilization local genetic and resource, BRIN has a play role in nationally utilization. So in earlier year, this year, 2023, there is president interaction regarding to preservation and mainstream biodiversity for sustainable development, or pengarutamaan pelestarian sumber daya hayati, keanekaragaman hayati ya. Since biodiversity is the genetic resource is included in biodiversity, so BRIN has a duty or task to do some research and also to conserve, to utilize biodiversity for sustainable development. And in this year also, there is also Presiden Decree, and I think this regulation will be announced in this year. It's still draft. This Presiden Decree is related to the food diversification based on the local resource. So BRIN also has to play a role in this Presiden Decree, how to provide research regarding food diversification based on the local resource. And in this year also, Research Organization of Food, Agriculture and Food also has make a team to initiate the draft Presiden Decree regarding to local genetic management, local genetic resource for agriculture and food. So hopefully this initiate draft will be proposed in this year and become a Presiden Decree. So this is the management, how the genetic resource is utilized and managed. I think the ideal scheme has been published at all 2021, and I think in BRIN also has followed this scheme, how to manage the genetic resource. So first of all, of course, there is exploration and also collection from introduction specimen, exchange from abroad to Indonesia, and also Indonesia to abroad. And we do also conservation. We deal with the active working collection, and also preparing the duplication and etc. So we do also management and multiplication, regeneration and rejuvenation. And in the below part of this scheme, there is a research activity, how to characterize the genetic resource specimen and how to utilize for example, for breeding purpose, and if there are any like Bu Sastia there is any chemical substance that's important, of course, it will explore more to make a product in research center of agro industry or research center of food process and technology. So we do also conservation ex situ and in situ. Since BRIN, there is a lot of also researcher. They stay in various locations in Indonesia. They can help the local government to conserve in situ, and also for ex situ, BRIN has experience to manage like a botanical garden. Yeah, we have experience about that, and we do also like conservation using a modern technique like tissue culture, cryopreservation, and etc. Next. So this is the activity that has been done by our researchers. Actually, this research has been done when we are in when we were in Ministry of Agriculture. We did conservation, like conservation of some of food crop like taro, yam, sweet potato. We did some research about the in vitro research, rubber generation, storage management, and sterilization in vitro. Next. We did also characterization based on the morphological and molecular and also biochemical some of the local food crops. Next. So I will explain an example of the local food that potential to use as a rice substitution. First is sagu. Sagu has a potential for replacing rice as a staple food. Our sagu plantation is quite high, 5.5 million hectare, and the utilization on still small, only 5.8%. Then and the production also very small, only 0.5 ton per hectare. So if we have 20%, for example, maybe there is 2 million ton of sagu.
30 seconds.
Okay. Okay. Next. In this example, we also have sagu germplasm conservation in situ and ex situ in outside of Java. Next. And also we have product of sagu. Sagu is already patented by Research Center of Fruit Processing Technology. Next. And the other food crop, local food crop is sorghum. Is also potential. Our president has announced that sorghum should be accelerated, planted by our farmer because it can substitute wheat flour, and not only as a food, sorghum also can be used as animal feed and biofuel. Next. And this is kind of the food that made from sagu and I mean from sorghum, and also there is some research published in Nature that sorghum also has good effect to human gut. Next. And I will tell you about pigmented rice. Pigmented rice more healthier than white rice. And we have collaboration with UB, Universitas of Brawijaya, and we identified that pigmented rice benefit for lowering cholesterol, reducing sugar, and etc. There's many nutrients that beneficial for health. Next. So we had improved pigmented rice through breeding. Next. And also we have modification. So if it is using white rice, and if we using pigmented rice, maybe the glycemic index will be more lower. Next. So we have some of bean like coffee. Next. Jack bean. Next. And we have also bean-based product. It's that's in the Research Center of Food Process Technology has been made. Next. So I think the discussion and recommendation, I think the same that we have a diverse local food, and I think we agree with Bu Sastia. We need to educate the society regarding the importance of food diversification, and we have to make food technology to process the local food that are more acceptable to young people generation, especially, and we should synergize between local government and also with macro, small, and medium enterprise to to make the local food product business. So I think that's all my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Bapak Yudhistira, you can stay here. Pak Yudhistira and also Prof. Sastia here. Okay, can please. Here. Okay, all participants, we already hears what speaker talking. Is very nice presentation, I think. Maybe for this on-site in this seminar, maybe you want to some question. Okay, please. Okay, and please, Pak, maybe you can keep the microphone. Thank you, Pak Ahmad. Mbak Mala, maybe siap ya? Oke. Mas Pep, Mas Bibi. Okay, please, you have 30 seconds, okay? 1 minute.
Okay, from Food Crop Research Center. So my question is first for Dr. Sastia about the functionality of the isoflavone from the tempe. You said that the fermentation process make the look like the production of the metabolite. So what is the most what is the contributing most in this production of the isoflavone? Is it the material of the bean or the fungi? So I wonder if we change the fungi or the bean, will it still produce the similar metabolite or not? For example, there is some other typical of fermented bean look like tempe bengu and oncom and tempe gembus and tempe bungkrek and etc. So what is I wonder if they will generate a similar metabolite. And also I wonder if the look like the cooking processing will affect the function of the metabolite. For example, if we eat the tempe as a raw tempe or tempe mentah, it will different if we eat the tempe as a mendoan or as tempe bacem or as combro and etc. Which one is most delicious? I mean, which one is the most nutritious?
Okay, thank you.
Thank
we
you.
already catch. Okay, maybe you can directly answer, Prof. Sastia.
Okay, thank you very much. Interesting questions. Actually, we have a one PhD student that have simultaneously analyzed the most influential factor in tempe product quality. And actually, as you mentioned, the raw material is very important. So we have already done extensive research on comparing if we diversify the legume, for example, using different legume other than soybean, actually the content of the metabolite is very different. And also we have already tried to compare, for example, the same legume, but different ways of fermentation, and tempe fermentation is the most superior to change the isoflavone into aglycons compared to other fermented food derived from soybean, at least for some of the metabolites that were presented in today's study. Tempe fermentation is very influential in changing the metabolite content. So actually, like you mentioned, both are important. So it depends on what kind of metabolite we are targeting for improvement. And the second, about the cooking process, as you mentioned, it's actually a very important research topic. One student is now working on it. So we already have the data compared to the raw material, raw tempeh consumed, just raw. The frying process using oil dramatically changed the metabolite profile, and actually it becomes less healthy because we want tempeh because it's healthy, and if we fry it with oil, then yeah, it will become increasing the fat. So the best way is either to consume it raw, but for hygienic purpose, not all tempeh is produced in a hygienic way. We recommend the use of either air fryer or boiling. So these are the two recommended cooking process that is most similar with the raw tempeh. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Sastia. Maybe the second question for Professor Derajat. You already here, Professor Derajat, still here in Zoom meeting?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Maybe in Zoom chat, you can see from Bapak Iskandar Ishak, the question, as you said earlier, that there is a tendency for tubers consumption to increase in several regions in Indonesia, including in Jakarta. My question is whether it is as a result of the success story of the food diversification program or increasing local culinary diversity of the archipelago. Maybe you can, and the second question is, beside rice, the longer of production and available will decrease according to Prof. Derajat. Which one's potential future staple food to support food security based on natural resources, safe water, nutritional content, customer preference? Maybe you can directly answer, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, there is still one other question from Mr. Gabriel. Okay, I will try to answer as concise as possible. For the Pak Iskandar Ishak, I think we cannot claim just one factor that affect the increase of tubers consumption. I think like the case in Jakarta, it's supposed to be a combination of the better knowledge of particularly the better awareness of the healthy food, because you know that the education level in Jakarta is, I think, higher than the average in Indonesia. They have more information for the healthier food, etc. And then you know that there are the availability of the can you still show the question in the screen?
Please share the,
because you know that in Jakarta, whatever the food is available, I think in the market, including the tubers, that what do you call processed tubers, chips, and then cassava. What do you call? As I mentioned before, it is industrial processed food from tubers. It's very much very available in Jakarta. I think this is a combination of many things. I do not know. I don't think this is not alone because of the program itself. Because in Jakarta, you know that food diversification program maybe not as that intensive than in other areas, because you know that Jakarta do not have agriculture area anymore. So I think it is because of the education, it is because of the purchasing power, it is because of the food industry, etc., etc. That actually I have already mentioned that if we want to increase the consumption of tubers, particularly, we have to really try to sift, the what do you call the tubers to become a normal or superior food, not the inferior one. So It is through education, it is through industry, it is through health campaign, etc., etc. So Jakarta is gave us the what do you call the example of the accumulative efforts of that I have mentioned before. And then for Pak Robert Asnawi, yes, I think we have some candidates that potentially increase sharply, yeah. Particularly, of course, the first one is cassava. The second one is, as you can see, yeah, the data cassava is superior rather than other tubers, and then the sweet potato is also potential sagu because it is you can develop many products from sagu, and then the last one is, I think, the one that it is now become what do you call? Become more popular, corn, but it is in the form of sweet corn rather than the common corn that is actually suitable for the animals rather than for the human consumptions. And then Pak Nurfianto Kiar Pangidung, how to transform the food system, especially animal protein food, which is very expensive. And okay, yeah, as I saw in the data that I presented before, the success of the government of Indonesia in increasing the quality of food consumption is because we are able to increase the animal food consumption. But if you look at the what kind of commodity that is usually consumed, of course, that is the lower price one, the cheapest one. What is that? That is eggs, and then chicken or egg, chicken, and a certain kind of fish, because some kind of fish is also expensive. And then meeting analog replaces animal protein. What
Okay,
I think that is already, yeah, I answered already. Okay.
We already catch what your answer. I think it's very nice answer. Because the time is very limited, we still have maybe 4 minutes.
Okay.
So maybe for the last question, maybe this is for here's Ibu. Oh, maybe already. We maybe here's in participant here already. Untuk Pak ini ada. Maybe question here. We still one question, okay? Slide number 3, please. Oh, okay. For Pak Yudhistira, maybe you have 1 minute, okay? Pak Yudhistira, please.
Hello.
Maybe how to
Okay. Yeah, how to develop and I mean, bidding for sago. Yeah, for sago, I think I'm not capable to answer this question because it's related to the estate crops. But as I know that sago is have long duration, maybe more than 5 years. So I think recently there is no breeding program. I mean, by crossing and selection, something like that, is not exist. But for characterization and for utilization of local variety, sago local variety, I think our researcher from previously from Indonesian Institute for Palm Research, they do that. I think yeah, but for breeding like crossing and do some selection, I think not has been done yet. Maybe later on, in BRIN, maybe we can do that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Another link for porang. Especially sago with very long harvest and porang industry. Yeah. For porang also we did not do some breeding activity. We just explored local porang and characterize and subscribe for varieties. What do you call it? Pendaftaran varietas, ya, local variety registration in Ministry of Agriculture. So there is already 2 porang variety, Madiun 1 and Madiun 2.
Okay, maybe I think it's enough. Thank you for your answer. I'm sorry, I must leading for fast time. Maybe just 30 seconds. Okay, the last question from Ibu Puji. Okay.
Thank you, Pak Mulyana. I just address to Sastia. I would like to thanks to you from your research that you are very, skillful and expert in metabolomics. So I would like to take opportunity. Do you all hear our researchers? And as I mentioned, in BRIN we have a fund for talent management to send the researcher who would like to learn all the training kind of metabolomics. So it is very happy if you provide us kind of project. I mean, they just help you the project and no need to pay anything. So the fund everything from BRIN. If we can have this kind of opportunity, we'll be very happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, all participants. Of course, for three speaker, Prof in IPB University, Prof Sastia, and Pak Yudhistira. I apologize because this is very short time, but in this discussion, we have conclusion that from Prof Sastia explain about the metabolomic approach can be useful for development of staple food diversification, and from Prof Dajat explained that the focus not only for food security but also for nutrition security also, and how to change from inferior to superiors. And from Dr. Yudhistira explained about the potential utilization of local genetic resources for staple food diversification. Maybe that's all from me, from moderator. I apologize because maybe many problems. Hopefully this is very useful for all of participants, and please continuing the seminar or conference with the collaboration, especially with Osaka University, and I already done from for example me and Prof Sastia, and hopefully all of the researchers also have the collaboration with Ibu Sastia or also Pak Prof Derajat. Thank you very much. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Mulyana, for leading a very interactive discussion, and for the speakers for a very interesting presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, as a token of our appreciation for sharing their valuable knowledge, we will give a certificate for the speakers to Dr. Sastia Prama Putri, Profesor Dr. Insinyur Derajat Martianto M.Si, Dr. Yudhistira Nugraha SPMP, Mulyana Hadi Pernata, STP MSc Ph.D., We would like to welcome the Chairman of Research Organization for Agriculture and Food BRIN to Mrs. Puji Lestari to present the token of appreciation. Please remain to have a photo session, and to all participants in Zoom, please activate your camera, and for the committee to take the photo shot. Buat seluruh peserta untuk dipersilahkan maju ke depan untuk berfoto bersama.
Prof. Derajat, terima kasih ya Prof.
Sama-sama Pak Mulyana, sehat ya Pak Mulyana.
Ya, terima kasih banyak Prof.
Sama-sama, sama-sama. Sampai ketemu lagi. Assalamualaikum. Saya izin live ya.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the end of our agenda for today. I'm Andalusi Aridi on behalf of the committee. I would like to say thank you very much to our speakers, moderator, and all participants. See you in the next event. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.